How to learn maths from games during the Happy Maths Hour.
You'll enjoy playing this game with your friends. You can do this with any number of people. You divide into 2 teams, and then, like these frogs, you swap places. But there are rules.
And today we are looking at lots and lots and lots of games that are going to help you and your children to play, learn, and love maths.
We're just going to give you the idea of all the different things you can do. Play for fun. And if you want to win, think and play to learn. The first set of games is not one game, it's a collection of games. We call them Dicey operations games, okay? Now here you can play with 2 people or 2 teams. And you need either 2 dice or a spinner. And there's instructions for making a spinner. And it's very easy to make. And if you need to have the scores on 2 dice, then you must spin the spinner twice. The games are very simple. All you do is decide the rules in advance, and you can do it with adding or multiplying or subtracting or dividing. So the 2 numbers that come up on your dice, you do something with them each time. So one player throws the dice, then the other player throws the dice. You've decided in advance what you're going to do with the numbers, and say it's multiplying them, then you multiply, and the one who's got the highest wins. And that's a point, and then you carry on playing as long as you want to. So you'll see that you can make the game very easy by just adding small whole numbers, and you can make the game quite a lot more challenging if you want to, by making perhaps fractions as well as whole numbers or whatever, and any one of different operations you choose.
There's a little one I'd like to add to the divide, and that is that if you can manage only to make whole numbers.
The thing about these games is we have left quite a lot up to you to decide your own rules. We're suggesting rules, but you can change them if you want to.
And please add any ideas you have, please add in the comments, take pictures, share your ideas with other families who are also playing these games all around the world.
Yes. And of course, you can find these games all year round on the Aiming High website. So the next one, we call this the 15 game, but actually you'll find if you go to the Aiming High website and look for the 15 game, and you'll see it's a collection of games, again, not just one. Now for this game, you need 9 cards, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you shuffle the cards, everybody can see the cards, and it's a game for 2 players or 2 teams. What you're aiming to do now is to get 3 numbers, 3, not 2 numbers, 3 numbers that add up to 15. And be the first player to get 15. So you have to look at what your opponent is doing and stop them making 15.
One thing I didn't understand with these rules when I was first playing it is that I thought you had to stop when you had picked 3 numbers, but no, it's just that you've got to, as long as at the end you have 3 numbers that make 15. You could have had more numbers, but you must have 3 numbers that make 15.
Yes, so you can go on picking until there are no numbers left. It's a great game, and you just score a point and you carry on playing it as many times as you want, as long as you're enjoying it. You can also play this one if you're on a journey and the kids are in the back seat of the car, but you just you play in two teams, and you just have to remember what your numbers are. You don't need the cards really. You can do it that way. Now the next game is a dice game, another dice game. Again, you can use spinners. And this time you need this fraction board. You throw the two dice, okay, and you imagine a fraction with the smaller of those two numbers on the top and the bigger one underneath. So if your dice, you get 3 and 4, then you make the fraction 3/4. And if the other player throws a 2 and a 3, then they make the fraction 2/3. And you use a chart, which makes it very, very easy for you to see whether 3/4 is bigger than 2/3, or is it 2/3 that's bigger? Anyway, the bigger one wins the point. People find fractions really hard. Your children perhaps find fractions, they just don't know what they're doing, a lot of children, and they to make a friend of fractions and then get really familiar with your friend and come to understand and love fractions. This is a good game, actually.
It really does show what you need. Toni said something absolutely critical. This chart, this game really, truly does help children make friends with fractions. I'm playing this game with children. I'm playing this game with a friend who's in her 40s, and she has never been friends with fractions. And it is it is enlightening, truly enlightening. It's not just a fraction wall, because I've used the fraction wall in the past, not had the results. It's the barrier the wall has remained, but as soon as you add this game to it, it's like the barriers come down. It's absolute genius, Toni. Thank you so much for this game. I can't recommend it more highly.
Roll these dice. It's a fractions game. Now we have the Target Games collection. Many different games are possible. It can be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You need to lay it out in a particular way so that everybody's recording it in the same way. That's how the game goes. In some countries, most countries actually, do require children to learn these processes, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and to write it down according to a certain algorithm. But that's very old-fashioned because calculators and computers do the job now. However, what's important is mental arithmetic, getting better at mental arithmetic, at estimating and developing number sense. So we have 4 little pictures here of 4 games. Target 100 is just adding 2-digit numbers and getting your answers close to 100 as possible. 500,000 is just writing the digits in the boxes and getting as close to 500,000 as possible, and 6 boxes there. So you need either a spinner with the 0 to 9 on it, or you need 10 cards in a bag or an envelope, and the cards are 0, 1, 2, up to 9. The leader picks a digit, and everybody working for themselves writes down the digit in one of the boxes. And then the leader draws the second digit, and everybody writes the digit down in one of the boxes. Everybody's playing for themselves here, and it can be in 2 teams or it can be individual. It's a good game for individuals. The next digit's drawn out and everybody writes the digit in a box. And they finish when all the boxes are full. Then they do the calculation, and the player with the answer closest to the total is the winner. So you can see that there are many versions of these games, and you can alter the rules yourself. Now the next one again is a collection of games, and this is great fun. And the one that I have illustrated here is for very small children. You can play this with 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds once they begin to learn to count.
I've played this with, as you say, as soon as they can count to 3. And if they're only getting up to 5, then only use up to 5. That's your limit, and that's fine. And it's so powerful for them to really start being confident in counting to 5 and adding to 5 without it being there's no pressure whatsoever. It's just a fun game. It might only last for a couple of times, but then they'll come back to it the next day with enthusiasm. It's absolutely, again, beautiful. And this is one I'll be now playing with my grandson, going up to 20.
You can have the numbers written on little cards, or you can play this with pencil and paper, or as you see it on the slide, you can do it with counters. You can do it with adding, but you can also do it with multiplying and other sorts of calculations. Any sort of rule where you take the numbers that are at the vertices of the triangle. So you have a triangle and you have a place to put the numbers at each of the vertices of the triangle, and you have a place to put the numbers in the midpoints of the edges, okay? And what you put at the midpoint of the edges, you make from the 2 numbers at the ends of that edge. And you make it by adding those 2 numbers or multiplying them, or whatever you've decided on at the start.
So the target numbers in the rectangles, in the midpoints of the triangle, and the numbers that you have to use to create that is on the outside. But you've got to do the same operation on all 3.
And you can decide on the sort of numbers. I mean, you can even do this with algebra with older children, you know, and you can be adding algebraic expressions or multiplying them. So the idea, once you get on to sort of know how you do what you're doing and you're playing the game, is that you start with a blank frame with those 6 boxes. You take it in turns to put something in the boxes, and if anybody makes a mistake, they lose a point.
You can start with just filling in the 3 rectangles and see if it's actually even possible what you're going to put in the 3 rectangles in order for it to work. And the biggest challenge is to start with 6 blanks and put the numbers in the rectangles, knowing what the operation already is to get there. Will it work? Can you make it work?
The order of the day with all of these games is, you know, change the rules if you want to. see what you make of it, and if you find you've got your own rules and they work and you like it, put it in our comment on Facebook. We'll be interested in how you got on and what you did. This one is a puzzle, and it's got 224 solutions. So my challenge to you now is to find all the solutions. But I know you're going to be thrilled when you find one, and then you'll search for more. So what you do is you add up. Each letter stands for a different number. So you add the letters of FOOT to foot, to ball, and the answers game. Surprise, surprise. And you'll see that if you're looking at the slide, 2,997. With the 9s, with the O's in the foot being 9s, and added to 3,411 with the 1s being L in ball, and that makes you game, which is 6,408 with the 4s being A's, and each letter corresponding to a number. So there's an example. There's one of the solutions. I've given you one solution. Can you find the other 223?
And can you find ones that definitely won't work? Toni always makes me explain it. You have to, why is it going to work? Why is it not going to work?
Yeah, a lot of thinking there. And for the big people, they're 18 or younger, who know how to write a computer program, I've given you what we call a pseudo code. It's not in any special language, but anybody who can write a computer program can put my pseudo code into their language, and you'll get a program which will give you all 224 solutions. Okay, so there is a way of getting the computer to do it for you if you can write the computer program. Now, this is a game, it's not particularly competitive, but it is a game where you all work together to try to solve a puzzle. And the best way to do this is by actually acting out. Divide your party people into two teams. I've got red-eyed frogs and orange-bellied frogs. You can see from the pictures that's what they look like. Okay, or you can, sometimes people call them frogs and toads. So you have what you do if you're going to do it with people. You have your places, and you need, supposing you're doing it with 3 frogs on each side, and you can do it with fewer or more, but let's say it's with 3. Then you have a space in the middle. And to move, you are allowed only 2 ways of moving. One is to move to a seat next to you if it's empty. And the other one is to hop onto an empty seat by hopping over the frog next to you. You can't hop over 2 frogs, but you can hop over 1. You have to decide who is going to move to that empty seat, because what you have to do is each team has got to move to the other side and change places, right? So you've got one team on one side and the other team on the other side with a space between. And one by one, you've got to move the frogs over according to the rules so that your 2 teams have completely swapped places. And that's the puzzle. Can you do it? Can you do it with 3 frogs on each side, or can you do it with, when you can do that, can you do it with 4 frogs on each side, or 10 frogs on each side?
You can move them one way, the feet are going this way, the hands are going this way, or you can jump one way, but you can't go backwards. You can't jump backwards, and you can't move backwards.
And you can only jump one. You can only move
one
spot.
Yes, you couldn't jump from here to here. That would be super easy, but you can't do that. Okay. All right. So here's how we're going to do it. Okay. So we're going to move 1, jump 1. So our jump is 1. Okay. Now there is a little secret. Maybe I'll tell the secret in a little bit.
Don't tell them the secret. See if they can work it out.
And then we're going to move 1 and jump 1, 2. Okay. Then we're going to move 1 and jump 1, 2, 3.
Ha-ha.
You see what's happening here?
Ha-ha.
Then we're going to move 1. And how many do you think we're going to jump this time?
My guess would be 4.
4. We're going to jump 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to move 1 and jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and now we're going to move the stinky feet here. Okay, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we did 5, and now we're going back.
Yeah, but don't spell it out too much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm excited. The feet are going that way, hands are going this way. Going to move a hand across, and then we go 1, 2, 3. So we're in 5,
4, 6,
and blah, blah. Then we're going to move a foot across and go 1, 2, a hand across, and go 1 and a foot across. And now stinky feet are on your side where they belong. Sanitized hands on my side, all nice and clean and not at all stinky.
Then can you say how many moves? And can you give a formula for the number of moves? Okay, well, we'll leave the maths of working out the formula for another day.
But it's a really fun challenge for any age just to solve it. You can get 3 soft toys, maybe bears, and 3 other soft toys, and maybe dogs, just different animals, or pictures of them and do that physically on a table or on the floor if you have some big things, and you can play with it. And then once you really master doing it with 3 and 3, then you can keep increasing the size of it.
Caroline, did you know you don't even have to have the same number on each side? It's simple.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, you can have 4 on one side and 3 on the other, or whatever you want, really. You still have the same rule that you start with a space between your 2 teams, and you have to, whatever the rules are for swapping, you have to get the teams swapped over.
Okay.
Places swapped. Okay, the next game is scissors, paper, rock. Now,
okay, I'm ready. I can play this game. I know all about rock, paper, scissors.
okay, go on. You're a rock. You've got your hand up with a rock. Okay, now
Well, you have to go 1, 2, 3, and then you
let's
decide.
do it together, Caroline. Okay,
scissors.
let's do it together. 1, 2,
right.
3. What are you?
No, I'm
Oh,
a rock
you win.
still. I didn't change.
Caroline has made her fist, which is a rock, and I made scissors, and the rock blunts the scissors, so the rock wins. Okay, so there's very simple rules. Scissors beats paper because scissors cut paper. Paper beats the rock because the paper wraps the rock. And as you just saw there, the rock beats the scissors because the rock blunts the scissors. And you can play with 2 or 3 people, and or more actually, and you each do your action, okay? And those are the rules about who wins. And there's variations on this game, which are a lot of fun. Here's a slide which shows Tiananmen Square. And what it shows is some children playing the game. And you'll see they're doing the splits. Now, I didn't know this version until I actually visited Tiananmen Square and took the photograph you see there. And I was amazed. What are these children doing? And I realized they were playing the game that we play in England, scissors, paper, rock. But when they lost, they had to they started with their feet together. And when they lost, they had to take a step with getting their feet further apart. So they were doing the splits. And they didn't lose out until they fell over. Okay, and once they'd fallen over, they were out of the game. But the circle continued until the last was left with the last person standing. And then I saw a video on YouTube which was the same, but instead of stepping to the side, forwards splits rather than the sideways splits.
I can't do either, so I didn't last very long playing this game at all. My grandson thought it was hilarious watching Grandma.
It's very funny. It's very funny. But there's a picture there of Japanese people playing this game many long time ago. It's a very old game, and it's spread all around the world. And what's more, people have invented this game with 5 different actions rather than 3, or with 7 different actions. So you've got snake poisoning, and you've got other actions like a sponge, which sponges and soaks up the water, and air. I don't know what happens.
The rock crushes the poor old lizard. Oh dear.
Yeah.
The hand,
and the scissors decapitate the lizard. That doesn't look good.
No, it says that, but the hand smashes the scissors. So it's basically that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, you can find all those instructions on the Aiming High website.
Oh no! Wait! Oh no! It's Spock. That's Spock.
That's Spock.
Vaporizes
Yes.
the rock. And Spock crushes the scissors. The lizard poisons Spock.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, another game. This is the Square It game. I love this game. again, it's such a simple game. You have 25 dots, okay? And you have a way of marking your dots. One way to do it is to use two colors. Just pencil and paper game, use two colors, okay? And you take it in turns to claim one of those dots. Once you've got it, the other player can't have that. And each player tries to make a square. And the square can go, it can be tilted at an angle. It doesn't have to be with the edges of the square across and up and across and this way and that and up and down. It can be a tilted square. So you've got to look out for the many possible squares that you can make. And you've got to make a square before your opponent makes one. So watch out what your opponent is doing. That's a good game.
I play this game over Zoom, and what we do is we number the rows with A to Z, but not A to Z, obviously, A, B, C, D, E in this case, and the columns with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it makes it a lot easier. And then one of us has the actual image, so both of us can see what's happening. But it's easy for both of us to say, right, I'm going to put mine on 1B. I might do my next one on 2E. In other words, it's down 1 and across 3. See if you can make a square starting with that.
Your lines can be at an angle to the edges of your paper. They don't have to be straight across or straight up and down. And Caroline's just told you how you can use sort of map references, you know, A3, C4 or whatever. You can also play this with more dots. It actually becomes a little bit trickier if you play it with more. I've started you off on 25 dots, 5 by 5, but you can play with more. You can play it with coordinates, like 2 numbers, as you learn when you're in school to draw graphs using coordinates for the points. And you can learn it, and you can also play this with positive and negative coordinates. So there are different versions of this game. If you want to use it if you're a teacher and you want to use it in class and you want to use it to introduce a lesson on coordinates in 4 quadrants, here's your game. The next game is called Tug of War. The Tug of War is a team game, usually with a team of people on both sides, sometimes just one person. And you have a rope, and you have a line between you, and your aim is to pull your opponent, or the first man or woman in your opponent's team, across to your side of the line, and then you've won. And it often ends with people, you know, all laughing and somebody pulling and pulling until they sit down. But this is a mathematical tug of war. Okay, no rope really, just a line that is numbered from -13, -12, -11, and so on down to 0, and then +1, +2, up to +13. So you are just imagining you're pulling this way and that way, and both players are pulling hard, okay? And that's the game. Now you can play it with 2 teams. If you've got, doesn't matter how many people, you can just divide them into 2 teams. And let's say it's 2 people or 2 teams, you call them plus and minus. So if you're on the minus team, you're trying to pull the numbers your way to get to -13. And if you are in the plus team, you're trying to pull your numbers the positive way, and you're trying to pull the numbers to +13. You use 2 dice, or use a spinner and spin it twice, and you add the scores, and you move the counter that number of places on the number line in your direction. So supposing you score a 6 and a 5, that's 11, and you start off at 0, then you've pulled the number all the way to, if you're on the plus side, you'll pull it all the way to plus 11, and you've only 2 more squares to go, and you win. Next time, the other players throw the dice and pull the number that way, so it moves from 11 back towards, in the negative direction, back towards minus 13. Now, Caroline asked, what happens if you throw 3? Too bad, you don't move at all. You've got to get precisely on plus 13 or minus 13, okay?
If your number is too big, you just don't move.
So if you're within 12 of your goal, then you have a chance of winning in that throw, because because you can throw any number up to 12. Okay, so you can. So if you're within 12 and you throw the right number, you land on your plus 13 or minus 13, and you've won that round. So it sounds as if it might go on for quite a long time, but it because you're pulling it first in one way and then the other way, but it doesn't last that long. It's quite an exciting game, actually. Try it. Every day throughout the year, there's something new on the Facebook page for AIMSSEC. And what's more, there's always something else if you go to the Aiming High. Now, the Aiming High website, see, what you have on the Facebook page is just a starter, just to get you going, to begin to do the activity, and just to start. And then there's a lot more. We call it a learning pack. So each one of these starters has got, to go with it, they have got a learning pack on Aiming High, same name, on Aiming High. And in the learning pack, you will find a worksheet, you will find notes for teachers, which explain to the teachers how, well, give you ideas for how you might use this in lessons with children of different ages. And then we've got the home learning guide, and the home learning guide is designed for a group of children, older children, younger children, any age between about 4 and 18 or 19, all to learn together. Now, of course, you're all at different stages. So you do the starter together, some sort of practical activity which everybody can do, whether you're 4 years old or 18, everybody can do it and enjoy it. That's the idea of the starter. Talk about it, and then short starter, and then there's an activity, a different activity for you, how your particular age and stage, to suit you, that follows on. So that's the learning pack. So
and if you find you're the older person, you're the adult, you're the older sibling, and you have any difficulties with it, then please comment on. You can go on the AIMSSEC SA page, ask questions on there, under the comments, or you can go into our group as well, Making Maths Fun for Kids of All Ages. Will give you. There's a lot of support on there. If you have questions, ask them. Please we want to help and ask your questions. Ask away.
So, Caroline, what also happens is people point out something that would be an improvement. And I read the comment, I think, well, they're right. And so often I actually tweak what I've put on there to start with and make it a little bit better according to somebody's suggestion. Or sometimes it's not exactly an improvement, it's just a different idea, which is always really, really good to have a different way.
An addition, an enhancement, not necessarily an improvement, an enhancement. Yeah,
exactly. Now the next game is called 5 in a Line, and this is related to other games as well, which you'll find in the learning pack. There's a very famous game that people in Southeast Asia play a lot. You do see it in England and in North America and Europe, but it's a very, very well-known and popular game in places like Korea, Japan, China, called Go Maku. So this is a simpler game. It's 5 in a line. And there is a board which is marked out again with 25 points, but these points are joined up with lines now. Lines at an angle, as well as lines across parallel to the edges of your screen slide or paper. And you take it in turns. You have 10 counters now, 5 for each team or player. And you take it in turns to place one counter at a lattice point. That's a point, one of those 25 points. Again, you're trying to achieve a pattern, but this pattern is not making a square. This pattern is getting 5 in a line. You play until you've got 10 counters on the board, and then you can move the counters one space to adjacent space and keep moving them until one player or the other gets a line. The next game is spin high, spin low. Here, you spin the counter 4 times. Again, it's like the target game that you saw earlier. You put your number, you choose where to put the number, but once it's there, you can't move it, and you try to get the highest score. This is a lovely game, red or black. It's so easy. You play it with the ordinary playing sets of playing cards. One player's the dealer and turns each card face up one at a time. But before turning it, the other player says red or black. And if they're right about the color, they win that card. If they're wrong, the dealer keeps the card. And who's got the most cards at the end? Game of Pig. This is a dice game. We have the rules here. I'll leave you to look at them yourself. This is another game with scoring and risk. Will you take the risk? And then, oh dear, things might go well, they might not. And finally, a little bit of information here. This is how you can go and find our learning packs. You can go to the Aiming High website. You can go to our app, and if you go to the AIMSSEC app, you can get everything down onto your device, and then you won't need to be connected to the internet. Global Maths lesson, that's not till September, but we do that once a year. And this year is going to be the all-time high, isn't it? Let's aim for 20,000, shall we, Caroline?
We've done 50,000, Toni. Let's beat 50,000.
Oh, let's aim for 100,000.
Yes, let's.
This is the number of children who are doing the 30-minute lesson on the same day, and they can do it at home or at school, and it's always a fun 30 minutes. And we have been doing that for 5 years. And we also have a YouTube channel, and we call it Maths Toys, and that's for our videos. So they all sort of blend in and are used in learning packs on Aiming High. So come and enjoy maths with us in 2021.
This is the way to go. If you're worried about maths, you've got children who are struggling with it, you don't know what to do, play these games. These activities are a lifesaver. So please do use them. AIMSSEC, the work that Toni does, it was originally started for teachers specifically in Africa that teach in disadvantaged communities to help the children that had little hope without good education. For those of you that are able and want to, we have a GoFundMe page, Benefiting Children by Empowering Teachers. We are now very excited about expanding basically to the rest of the world, aren't we, Toni? We've got a global group started.
And to everybody, but particularly to people in refugee camps and people who, as Caroline says, the hope for the children is a good education, which maybe, we hope, will mean a better life for them. And we work with teachers all over the world to empower those teachers. It doesn't cost anything for the teachers, the people who are enjoying the maths, but of course there's some cost, quite a bit of cost in us running courses for teachers and helping the teachers. So a lot of us are working for free and not charging anything. We do have a team in South Africa who are our important hardcore team who do a lot of the work and keep everything going. So please help AIMSSEC. We need your help. Join us for happy hour every Monday.
A whole list of games that are all on the Aiming High website in more detail. Give you all the links to all of these things throughout the programme.
For greater understanding and enjoyment of mathematics, the Maths Toys YouTube channel is brought to you by AIMSSEC and the Aiming High website. In the description you will find a link to our home learning guide for ages 4 to 18 and a teacher resource pack. If you find this video useful, there is a GoFundMe link in the description to donate to and support AIMSSEC. The money goes to bursaries for professional development for teachers in disadvantaged communities around the world. Subscribe, comment and ding the notification bell to make sure you don't miss our latest